It's never a waste of time to make time for the truth. A moment spent listening and paying attention to the truth can change your life. So let's take a moment for the truth. Psalms 119:75 says, I know, Lord, that your judgments are righteous, and that you have afflicted me in faithfulness. One of the secrets of gaining wisdom is simply paying attention. Life in the Lord will move in ways that we may not understand as He works in our lives to shape us to His purpose. This is especially true in times of difficulties. If you remember this section of verses in this psalm, the writer is focusing on his life of being an influence. In verses 75 through 77, the writer is speaking of the context of troubles that have come upon him. Listen how he begins verse 75. He says, I know, Lord, that your judgments are righteous. How often have you heard someone in a troubling situation immediately call out to God in an accusatory question? God, why is this happening to me? They feel unjustly mistreated. And because they see it as a mistreatment, they are, in a sense, declaring their mistrust of God. They are, in a real sense, calling into question God's work in their lives. But this is not the case for this writer. He begins by saying, I know. This is a single word in the original language that speaks of something known or ascertained by seeing. The writer has seen and witnessed and knows his Lord. And on the basis of that knowing, he continues. He declares that he declares his trust in God. He trusts in His character and in His judgments. He doesn't claim to know why these things are happening, other than God is superintending the events of his life. He believes and he trusts God. But now comes the context for this verse and the next few verses as well. He knows that God's judgments are righteous during difficult times. He declares to God that you have afflicted me in faithfulness. This is not an accusatory word or a questioning. This is someone who trusts God in the judgments of God. Now realize that these words are not shallow. He knows that God's hand is involved in the affliction that he's suffering. But he doesn't blame God or question God. He trusts Him. He trusts that what God is doing is just. He trusts that the judgment of God is, in that moment, just. In every way that he can think of, he trusts God. Friend, that's not an easy thing to do. During difficult times, we move more easily to questioning God. The last thing we usually want to do is admit that God is right to discipline us and for our good and for His purpose. To trust God takes on a whole new flavor when it expresses itself in difficult times. I don't know what's going on in your life today, but if you've surrendered to God's work in your life, correction and difficulty may play a part in it. Declare to God your surrender of His work in your life today. It only takes a moment, but it will be a moment that will matter. Thanks for watching and listening to Truth Matters Moment. Also, don't forget to look for our weekly podcast called Truth Matters. It comes out every Wednesday. Catch you later.